Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome to another video for Eve Echoes. In today's video we're going to be talking about comets, both the new comets that have been added into space in Eve Echoes and the new Comet Nanocores for cruisers. That's like the one I'm flying here on my Caracal. How cool does this look? I love that sort of icy blue through to white effect on it, and the fact that it actually has like a comet tail effect coming off the back of the ship as well is just insanely cool in my eyes. It's given me a reason to undock my Caracal 2 just to have a bit of fun with this, and it is available for other ships as well, as we'll discuss in a moment. Now we are also going to be taking a look at the new Lazarus Units. These were something that was added in the recent update as well, along with these Comet Nanocores and the actual comets themselves, and we're also going to be taking a sneaky little peek at 4 new cruisers that have been secretly added to the game files, possibly part of the returnee event or for new players. That remains to be seen, but we're going to have a look at them and we'll discuss those in turn. Now, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting a like on it, subscribe to the channel for all things Eve Echoes, ding that notification bell to never miss an upload, and of course, come find me on Discord. Remember, I am giving 3 people each week a month of Combo Omega. You need to be commenting on YouTube and joining my Discord to be in with the biggest chance of winning those. Finally, if you want to help keep me doing what I'm doing, you can come find me on Patreon, which is linked at the bottom of the screen now and in the description down below. Pledge to support there for as little as £1 and get all kinds of cool benefits, everything from getting your name in the credits at the end of a video to exclusive merchandise. Anyway, all that said and done then, let's jump right in to talking about Comet Nanocores first of all. I've been talking to a fair few people this morning who seemed completely unaware that these nanocores even existed. So, if we come to the New Eden store and then head to Hot here on the left hand side, we'll be able to find these. It's on the second row down, limited new capsuleer supplies. If we tap on this, this brings up the inventory of what this will get you. Now this is available for purchase only, and I know that's always controversial, but for something like this I really don't mind it. For £4.39 or whatever the equivalent of that is in your local currency, you're getting 100 gift IP, 120 Plex, a Comet Cruiser's Nanocore Opt Box, advanced Nanocore material supplies, and a load of Nanocore stuff below that as well. This is ridiculously good value. 120 Plex on its own, by the way, is more than the £4, well, is about the £4.39 there. So you're getting all of the same Plex you would normally get, plus the Nanocores and a load of IP and other bits and pieces. But it's mainly this Comet Cruiser's Nanocore box that I want to draw your attention to, because this adds 4 Nanocores, the Comet cores for the Omen, the Caracal, the Vexor, and the Stabber. And these just look so cool. Like, if I flew a Stabber more often, I would get this one as well. I've got the Caracal 1 on Benzie because I do fly that, but if I flew the Stabber more on Silent Rose, just look at that. Look at the colours on that sort of white through to icy effect, and the comet tail coming off the end. It just looks so cool. The Vexor one especially, I love the look of that, the way it's actually got the comet there on the front. Even the Omen. The Omen is normally a ship that I don't like its colour scheme. This makes it look beautiful. I'm absolutely in love with these cores. Genuinely, I'm not exaggerating when I say these might be my favourite looking nanocores that NetEase have ever produced, even beating out the Dark Halo for me. But what about their stats? Well, let's tap on Learn More. First of all, you have your main attributes, of course. 16.8% laser damage, or missiles, drones, or cannons, depending on the others. 21% armor or shields depending on what ship you're putting this on, and then a 19.8% increase to warp speed. This is actually remarkably useful for PvP if you want to be able to sort of, try and overtake someone in warp and grab them. That's a great way of doing it. If you are in PvE as well and you just want to move between encounters nice and quickly, warp speed is one of those things I don't think we've seen that as a main attribute on a purple core before, and it's interesting to see it. I quite like its addition, but of course we have our standard backups here of laser damage or weapon damage and whatever tank you have. So for the Omen, it's laser and armor. If we were to look at the Caracal core, it is of course missile, torpedo, and shield. The Vexor core is going to be drone damage and armor, and then the Stabber Comet core, of course, is cannon damage and shield. Does annoy me a little bit that it's shield because, well, you can armor tank a Stabber really well, but hey, there we go, just go for the cannon damage or the warp speed. Now for secondary attributes, these again are actually pretty nice. These nanocores are clearly meant to be aimed at newer players because they work on everything from the trainer variants right up to the Tech 10 2 variants. So for the Stabber, that's the Stabber Trainer, the Stabber Fleet Issue, the Stabber Sniper, and the Stabber 2. Same with the Vexor, the Omen, and the Caracal. It's all of the Trainer, the Mainline, the Naval Issue, the Sniper, and then the Tech 10 2 variant. Now, I've been told that you can actually long press on these to get a full list of what they can do, so your secondary attributes are going to be either warp drive capacity need, which is for your micro warp drives, afterburner capacitor need, or just straight up additional capacitor. So your first thing there is actually going to help you keep your ship a little bit more capacitor stable. The second one we're looking at here, again, is your tank. In this case, it can either be shield or structure. It'll be armor or structure for things like the Omen and the Vexor. And then you can get things like shield booster, shield boost amount, or armor repairer, repair amount, that kind of thing. So if you are active tanking, that can be a lot of fun there to just improve the amount of damage that you can tank. Then we have our weapon stats. This is either going to be cannon damage, cannon range, or cannon tracking speed, and I excitedly reported this to Vetamune because I know he loves seeing tracking speed on Stabber cores. Unfortunately, he said there's no real sort of increase to, like, it's not a primary stat for speed increase, so if I can't get my Stabber to go over 2 kilometers a second, it's just not worth it for me. But hey, if you do want some tracking speed, you've got that there as well, alongside damage or range. We then come down to warp drive speed increase, afterburner speed increase, or just flat out flight velocity. Flat out flight velocity is probably the one you'd go for if you're not intending to use propulsion modules all that often. Obviously, warp drive and afterburner, you use those depending on if you're going to be using micro warp drives or afterburners. We then finally have another tanking one at the bottom here, which is either shield boost amount, or armor repairer amount, shield or armor, and warp stability. This actually does annoy me ever so slightly that it's a core that gives additional warp stability up to a whopping +5, which means that this can actually be incredibly stable and hard to, pin down. But it is all the way down at the bottom of the attributes, so it's going to take a lot to get down there. And quite frankly, again, considering this is aimed primarily at beginners, I don't mind it too much. I don't like warp stability being on there, but honestly, it's not as bad as it could be. I'm just saying that here simply because, as I said, it is the bottom of a line here. You have to get all the way down to the last attribute to train in order to get that warp stability, and yeah, it's going to be tricky to do. It's going to require a lot of re-rolling or amazing luck to get that full 5. So I don't know. I'm in two minds about it, but I think it could be worse. And just to showcase this, for example, looking at the Caracal, again, if we come down, warp drive capacitor need, we saw is going to be warp drive capacitor need, basic capacitor or afterburner. It'll be shield booster amount or structure, missile torpedo damage, missile torpedo flight velocity or explosion velocity. And then the same as we had before all the way down there. Now, what I do want to draw your attention to as well, as I'd mentioned earlier, there are 4 new cruisers being added to the game, and that's courtesy of these nanocores that we can see this. If you come down with the Caracal Comet Core, you can see it's applied to the Caracal, Caracal Trainer, Caracal Navy Issue, Caracal Sniper, Caracal 2, or Caracal Modified? What's this one? Well, let's tap on it and have a look. Now, the fitting profile we have here is similar to the standard Tech 5 Caracal, and you can see this is a Tech Level 5 ship as well. So, we've got an additional mid-slot here though. 1 drone tube, 4 highs, 3 mids, 4 lows, 2 and 2 for the rigs. If we go to the Caracal, 1 drone tube, 4 highs, 2 mids down from 3, 4 lows, and 2 and 2. Then if we look at the standard Caracal, we've got 5% medium missile torpedo flight velocity, 3% reduction to torpedo activation time, and a 5% flight velocity. If we then look at the Caracal Modified, now that's gone from a 3% reduction there to a 5% increase to medium missile torpedo damage. So it's got a different stat there for medium missile torpedo operation, And then Cruiser Command, in addition to the 5% flight velocity, it now also gives 2% shield. This is on top of the fact that the defense here is 10,998 compared to the standard Caracal, if I go back into that there, of 9,509. These are just better versions of the Tech 5 ships. again, I'm very much in two minds about this, because if I were to come out of this for a moment, and this does exist as well, just to showcase for the Omen and all of the others as well, Omen modified at the bottom there with this really unusual colour scheme going for it, same there with the Stabber at the bottom, Stabber modified, so on and so forth. If we were to jump into the ship tree for a brief moment, we'll use the Amar one because it's open here. We should have, there we are, at tech level 4, the Coercer 2, and a special Coercer Trainer. And if we could put these on add to comparisons, the Coercer Trainer, a special Coercer Trainer, is one you actually get as part of the, what's it called, going through the tutorials at the very beginning of the game. And you'll notice that side by side, these ultimately look fairly similar. But again, the Coercer 2 does have an additional high slot, whereas the Trainer only has 3, but then again, it's kind of got that like slightly lower damage on the Coercer 2, whereas it's got more on the special Coercer Trainer, but you do get the tracking speed on the Coercer 2. My point is that they are actually subtly different, and you might have a situation where you go, actually, the special Coercer Trainer is pretty cool, but I definitely want the Coercer 2 more. If we look at its stats side by side, the real ship, in inverted commas, is better. There's no two ways about it. Like, look at that power grid. You've got a 48 compared to a 71. We've got a warp speed of 5 compared to 4.5. Flight velocity 374 compared to 302. The Coercer 2 is just flat out better than this. Now, unfortunately, that is no longer the case with the Tech 5 cruisers. We still have the Omen, and we still have the Omen Trainer at Tech level 5. But now, we're also going to have, if we go back into it, the Omen Modified. And the Omen Trainer is a basic trainer ship. It's worse than the Omen, but the Omen Modified is better than the Omen. So we have 3 Omens available at Tech Level 5, one that is just flat out better than the others, and it is considerably better than the others. Like, if we look at its stats and compare that to an Omen, yeah, you'll see. I'm not sure I like this. I don't know why they've done this. I'm assuming that these are going to be special giveaway ships that are something to do with, for example, the returnee event, and someone can get them this way. If you have an idea, if you've seen these somewhere before, let me know, because this is genuinely the first time that I have seen these ships today. And I don't like the fact that they're flat out better than the real ship, and the fact that it's a modified suggests to me that it is going to be given away with something. Perhaps it's the redo of the login rewards, perhaps it's something to do with the whole starting up with the returnee event and stuff like that. I don't know, but let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one in the comment section down below. Now, the final new addition to the store here are Lazarus Units. Now, these were interesting in the description, and I kind of misunderstood what these were. These are essentially a direct purchase to reskilling. Now, normally, if you go into your skill menu, if I go into skills here and tap on reset at the bottom left, you can tap on any of these skills and reset them, and it will cost you 1 Plex per 5,000 skill points that you're going to reset. Now, 1 Plex to 5,000 skill points basically means 200 Plex is 1 million skill points. Now, you'll notice here that the actual cost of a Lazarus unit is normally 200, and how many skill points does it reset? 1 million. So I'm not entirely certain what the point in buying one of these is. On discount, yeah, fair enough. You're only paying 180, or, whereas if you're going to be paying 180 Plex, you wouldn't get a full million. You are getting 10% extra there. Or it's a 10% reduction in price at least. That's kind of okay, but ultimately you're having to directly pay with, or you can't do this with Plex for the Lazarus units. So I kind of expected these to be a bit more of an obvious discount, and if you're not getting that 10% discount, it's exactly the same as doing it with Plex. So I do have to kind of ask the question, what exactly is the point in these? This just feels like it wasn't, that the math wasn't done properly. Why would I buy a Lazarus unit for 180 ore when I could get myself 200 ore and then convert that into enough Plex anyway? I mean, there with that 10%, it makes sense, but only barely. As Gigaforta pointed out, ultimately that 100,000 that you're saving is less than a day's worth of skill points if you are Cognitive Neuroscience 3 and Combo Omega. So if you're lower than that, it's obviously it's a bigger amount, but I don't know. There's a part of me that just thinks that if you're paying Aurum rather than Plex, you should have a bigger discount than this. And ultimately, I was expecting the 200 ore to be something like at least 1.5, 1.75 million. Just a lot more than we were getting, that it was going to be a cheaper way to respec rather than just buying the Plex and doing it that way, because Plex is expensive at the moment. So I expected these Lazarus units to be, well, much more than they are. I'm hoping that this is just a miscalculation and it is something that's going to get changed down the line, but for now, I don't see the point in these. Now, finally though, to end things on a much lighter note, going back to talking about comets, yeah, okay, we've got these really cool comet cores, which I genuinely love. I really like these, and yeah, I get the fact that some people are going to say, oh, but you have to pay real-world money for these. Yes, a game needs real-world money so to survive. You can't have everything available for Plex. We had this discussion on the Eve Echoes Discord the other day. The basic reason for that is if you made everything available by Plex, what you are doing is making Plex more valuable, right? That follows. If you can buy everything with Plex, then Plex suddenly becomes more valuable. There's more things you can do with it, therefore you want it for more things, more people want it, it becomes more desirable. If it is more desirable, it is going to go up in cost. No two ways about that. That is how that works. Demand increases, therefore cost is going to increase for Plex. It also then works on the other side as well, because if suddenly everything can be bought with Plex, there's no real reason to buy Aurum and then buy Plex with it. Like, the people who can swipe their card willy-nilly and have disposable income can suddenly swipe their card for Aurum, convert that into Plex, and then sell it for a higher amount of ISK to put that Plex into the market, but by ultimately making Plex more attractive, because it can do everything, you are going to entice people who were sort of on the fence in that middle ground of, do I want to save up and buy the Plex with ISK, or do I want to swipe the card? They're going to be looking at those things going, right, okay, well, I'll just save up now. You're going to have fewer people buying Plex with their credit card, therefore Plex is going up in demand and down in supply, which is going to push the cost up even higher. If you're already struggling to pay for your Omega each month because you do so with ISK buying the Plex, that is going to make it infinitely worse. It is important that players have a direct purchase that is attractive, and I think £4.39 is a really attractive purchase when it gives you almost as much Plex as you would get directly for that anyway. Plus, you're getting the Nanocore Opt box, you're getting gift IP, and you're getting all of these other bits down below. This is an amazing value box. You can only buy one of them, which is annoying if you do fly all 4 of those cruisers, but ultimately, I think this is a really tempting little purchase. £4.39 gets you a lot of Plex, a really cool Nanocore, and it does help the game out. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with me, but the basic economics is simple. If everything were available for Plex, then the price of Plex is going to go up, the supply of Plex is also going to go down, because, and heck, even people who buy Plex are going to be consuming it to buy more things with it, so you're going to be consuming more Plex. I forgot to mention even that earlier. Price of Plex will go up big time if they made everything available with Plex. But I wanted to mention, why do I also really like this? Because they've added actual comets to the game as well. If you're out and about exploring and flying around, keep your eyes open for these. I really like them. I spent about 10-15 minutes this morning just flying around and looking at different comets. I'm hoping that, for now it's just a visual effect, but I'm hoping that this is perhaps a precursor down the line to us having actual ice mining or something similar to that in the future, because obviously comets leave ice trails, ice mining is a thing in EVE Online. We could have something linked to comets with that. It's an idea. It's an idea. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. I love the comets, I love the comet cores. I am split on the Lazarus, well, I'm split on the new cruisers that they're adding, and I'm confused. I think confused is the best word. Confused by the Lazarus unit supply. Like, it doesn't offend me, it doesn't upset me. They've said we're going to be getting some of these free as well with the April balance patch to help sort of, you know, help us to actually respec some things in there. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I find it confusing why you would buy Lazarus units at 200 Aurum when you could just buy a specific amount of Plex instead and not have leftover, or any leftover that you have with Plex can be just straight up converted into ISK or whatever. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, folks. Let me know which of those Comet cores you think looks best. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.